Welcome back.
I think you're in a Zen moment, Chris. Let's come back to the show. I was floating off in the universe as well, right?
Yeah. No, I was waiting for the music to fade.
No, I have to do that. But we're on live now, bro. You can go.
Okay. Okay. Welcome back to the Locker Room Read. Welcome, along. I'm Chris Murray, along with my co-host Irie Harris and Saphyr Blue. Before we get back to what we're doing, we'll finish our conversation on. We'll resume our with the men's NCAA tournament. We gotta pay a few bills. Okay, so first of all, let's talk about baseball. Okay, as you know, I'm sorry. Let's catch all the long ball base stealing baseball action of the Strike Zone radio broadcast featuring the 2025 Crowley Eagles in their pursuit of the UIL State Championship. For schedules and times, go to BGCSports.net. That's BGCSports.net. Okay, ladies and gentlemen, we are back to go to the men's Final Four. What a finish! What an ending! What an ending to that game. Houston had a chance to try to tie the game with a 3-point. Oh no, tried to tie the game with a 2-pointer and could not get their offense. I was just like, I was rooting for Houston, but you gotta set up better than what they did, and they got set up behind the 3-point line, and then one of their players made a turnover. He couldn't get the ball back because he had gotten the ball back. It would have been a travel. I gotta say, it goes back to this thing. They should have had that offense into the low post, but you got to give Florida credit. Walter Clayton Jr. had another outstanding effort for Florida, and I want to get you guys' thoughts on that game. I felt bad because Houston as a program has just had bad luck in the national championship. Elvin Hayes lost to Lou Alcindor in '68, and then you had Phi Slamma Jamma in the '80s. They lost to Georgetown and North Carolina State. The North Carolina State game they should have won. I think they had another trip to the Final Four and lost to Villanova. So this goes into the continual bad luck of the Houston program. But that situation, you don't set up behind the three. You gotta attack the basket, and they didn't do that.
Yeah, they're man. It was even hard for me to watch because I think back even before the final play that has gone viral, in which Emmanuel Sharp did not get a shot off and seemed a little flustered. I let the ball go, couldn't pick it up again because he was already in the air. The play before that had me a little confused. So I was trying to figure out their offense at the end of the game, in which it resulted in him driving into traffic and the ball went off his knee. It was just the little things, these little mistakes that really hurt them. I think in the end, but what really hurt them was their, I don't want to say stagnant because the offense is never stagnant, but their offense, they would get their points in spurts. It was no doubt they got the best defense in the nation, allowing the fewest points per game at around 58. I'd be like 58.4. I want to say their points was not that dynamic. You weren't going to get 90 a game like you would with Alabama, but you're going to get the points. But the problem was they weren't scoring enough to keep Florida off because Florida did, and of course we're going to get to Florida, so I won't try to over there too much. But what Florida did what Duke did not. Duke did not stick to their identity. They allowed Houston to force them into iso ball instead of moving the ball around the way they do. Florida knew their identity. If they moved the ball and they run, and they stuck to that until it finally started to work and flow right for them, which it eventually did. And because Houston's points are not as dynamic or quick, it gave it enough time so for Florida to come back and score the way they did. So I think that's what really hurt them in the end. In the game, you hate to see it like that. I'm not mad at the play call for the 3-pointer, but it seemed like they're supposed to be like a deep like 2 set screens because Clean, nobody was even on Clean. He was just right there. That's why he was able to break out so early and jump in Sharp's perennial view to keep him from even getting a shot up. I think there's supposed to be another screen set for him right there in that moment, and we saw the way things ended there. Saphyr.
I'm just going to put it like this. You called this game, Irie, because I'm talking about the Houston Duke game.
Yeah.
You called out Houston's suffocating defense. And I just feel like, just like in football, defense wins games. And so it was not ironic, but it stood out to me that it was reversed, right, in the final game between Houston and Florida. Florida woke up. They put some defense, some pressure on Houston.
Right.
And they won the championship. So to me, it's that straightforward. Defense wins games.
Absolutely. I mean, and the thing about it, Houston had opportunities, to kind of increase their lead, and they just didn't do it, and you can't leave a team. And this was the pattern that Florida had throughout, the 6 games in this NCAA tournament. I mean, Walter Clayton Jr. rescued them in just about every game. You go back to the round of 32, they faced a 10-point deficit in the second half against UConn, and Walter Clayton came in, hit about 9 straight, scored 9 straight points, got them back in, and then in the game against Texas Tech in the Elite Eight, they also had a big. They were down. They were down by 13 with under 3 minutes left in the game, and so you had a situation where they just kept making plays. Same thing in the national semifinal against Auburn. They just made plays down the stretch. They committed a lot of turnovers in the first half, but in the second half they forced Auburn into 12 turnovers. They got the ball, and they reversed a 9-point lead to come back into that game. And the same thing against Houston. They just found a way to win in this tournament. And the one thing I go back to Walter Clayton Jr. I mean, this guy averaged 22.3 points and 3.3 assists a game in the 6 tournament games. He shot 43% from 3-point range. I mean, and like I said, he scored 34 points in the win over Auburn. I mean, this guy just, he put his hard hat on and he rescued this team. I mean, it was incredible to watch. And like I said, they're deserving of the national championship. And like I said, and some of the draft experts are saying that Walter Clayton Jr. helped himself in the NBA draft, and he's going to possibly be a lottery pick. And so from that perspective, I mean, you're going to basically, you got a guy who played well. I mean, this was no accident. This was no fluke. Florida proved itself in this tournament.
Yeah, they did. And I think for me, one of the things that really stood out to me in the commentary was the way they talked about the players felt as a team at the end of last season and the off-season commitment they made to their strength training, their conditioning. They spent a lot of time with each other. They know each other. Like, for me, that and that defense are variables to the formula for success on any level. So I actually felt like it had kind of like a professional NBA vibe sort of watching the game. I know that the viewership was up like 22% from even last year. It's like one of the most watched NCAA men's finals of all time. So it was exciting. I thought the whole tournament was exciting. And I mean, I think with NIL, I think with sports betting, we have a more exciting product, if you will, when it comes to the men's and women's NCAA games.
Indeed.
Well, Yeah,
My
and
fault.
you have
I
yeah,
was,
yeah. Go ahead. I'm
I was
sorry.
just, I'm sorry. I was just gonna add just real quickly before we transition stuff. Just two quick things. I agree with everything everybody's saying. Number one, personally, is like on court related. It's awesome to see Todd Golden win. I still remember when he was at San Francisco coaching, and he brought that program up, brought him back to their first tournament appearance in 2022, the first one in like 20 years. I'm like, who is this guy coaching R? And to see him go to Florida, I'm like, yeah, give him a couple years and they're going to be good. So it's great to see that. Secondly, it's awesome to see Clean play his way into the lottery because, with all due respect, there were no freshmen that were big contributors in the national championship game because none of the freshmen that are predicted to be lottery picks played in the national championship game. Instead, you had
Right.
these older veteran guys who showed they are ready to play. I would love to see a comeback in which we have guys or the older guys in college who are proven and showing that they're ready to play in NBA on the biggest stage in college basketball and proving their worth and them actually be drafted high instead of being pushed to the late second round. That's all for now. You good. Thank you.
Yeah,
Okay.
and you know what? I just want to add this. As great as Clayton is, and he is phenomenal. I mean, I was vibing off of Condon. I'm sorry, man. I'm sorry. Like, you need workhorses,
Oh
right?
yeah, no doubt about that. No doubt. And no doubt about that. And he got hurt. I think in the game. I want to say he either got hurt against Maryland or he got hurt against UConn, and he came back. He came back, and like I say, bloody but unbowed, as an old poem once said.
So it's good. You know what? Listen, I think they're going to be competitive next year too. I mean, I know there's going to be some clear changes, but I really thought they showed in that final that they are a team. As great as Clayton was, because he had a different kind of game, but that he was able to lean into his teammates like that. That was a total team victory in my mind.
Absolutely. Well, speaking of NBA, oh wow, we are down to the last weekend of the season. Um,
Woo!
and we're like I said, to me, my pro basketball, I love the NBA, and I always like to wait till the playoffs and whatnot. And normally I would be down at Wells Fargo, but the Sixers are playing for a lot, and I'm not gonna say anything else about Philly. Not gonna do it. Promise. I won't say anything about the Sixers and Irie, and I don't want to make Irie upset either because we're both,
It's
I'm
okay,
just
buddy.
no,
Thank
yeah,
you. It's okay.
okay. So Luca goes back to Dallas and and has a good game along with LeBron. I mean, I saw LeBron James just moving to the court. I mean, LeBron. I mean, like I said, I gotta go out and get in shape. Now I'm not gonna play in the NBA. I got once I got to put away all my hamburgers and cheeseburgers and stuff. But he's inspired me at 40 something years old to probably go. Now I'm not gonna play basketball. I'm just gonna do it for the pure health. I'm not gonna pick up a basketball or my baseball gloves and my footballs over there too. I'm not gonna do any of that. But I'm inspired to be in shape because LeBron was looking like a kid. I mean, he was looking like, every time somebody had the ball on low. See, this is what I was talking about with the women. See, that's what I want people to do. When you got a player in the low post, you gotta flash. You gotta go. You gotta just recognize and help out your teammate. But LeBron looks great, and I wouldn't put it. I wouldn't be surprised if LA was in the NBA Finals and whatnot. But but like I just want to get your guys' thoughts on that. I was going to get into something else, but Saphyr, what did you think? And Irie, I want to get both of your reactions to that. Seeing LeBron, seeing Luka go back to Dallas.
Look, I want that LeBron Kendall.
Yeah.
I need one of the two of you to like make that happen for me because that's going to be a collector's item. Okay. But to your question, look, I think Brian could play as long as he wants to play because of his discipline, his during like off season and in season regiment. I think that he has compelled Luka to get into better shape,
Right.
play some defense, stop, hawking at the referees. And I agree with you. I think the Lakers are legit contenders for the West. So none of this surprises me. And when I think about back in the day, even Jordan, as great as he was, he had solid B+ players around him. And I think that's what a great player, like the greatest of all time, that's what they do. They
Right.
compel their team members to play at levels above what people think they are capable of, not just one night, a week or a month, but consistently across the season. So I just think it's exciting time for the NBA season. We're going into the postseason, and I'm happy for LeBron because he doesn't have to, with all due respect, with the Cavaliers, he had to put other players on his back. Okay, so
Right.
I'm looking forward to the postseason.
Irie, I want to get your input before I switch to some other weird things that have happened in the NBA this week.
For sure, yeah. It was definitely awesome to see that, but of course, the big atmosphere, the big event being Lucas return to Dallas, and then just going out there and dominating the way he does at his own pace. It was expected, at least to me. In no way did I think Lucas was going to go out there and go easy on them. And I'll say this because I know we only got like around a minute left and change within the segment, but for a long time, I thought Kevin Durant's decision to go to Golden State would be the number one question that I could not understand. That maybe science didn't understand. Nico Harrison trading Luka to LA might beat that for me, at least. It might beat that because I won't get it. I don't think I ever will. Any other player of stature or caliber, I understand, really in the age and stuff, style, play, caliber, things going on internally. But a player of his caliber, superstar, who didn't want to leave, has said multiple times he never thought about leaving anytime in the near future. It just will never make sense to me. So, yeah. And then
If that doesn't make sense to you, what happened in Denver? They fired Calvin Booth. They fired Mike Malone as the head coach. They're fourth in the Western Conference, but they're still a good enough team to win. So that was just a strange a strange one. And well, I guess we'll see if we can talk about that. But ladies and gentlemen, you are listening to the Locker Room Readout on the BGC Sports Network. We'll be right back.